Now we're going to talk about visibility graphics and how to set up view templates. So within your project, there's ways to turn on and off different items within the model. So if we want, we can turn on and off things like light fixtures, ceilings, turn on doors, turn off doors, mechanical equipment, other pieces within the model. So one way to do this is hit VV, Victor Victor, or um, Visibility Graphics up here. So we click Visibility Graphics, and there's this whole long list of things that we can turn on and off within the model. So if we look at it, let's say we want to turn off light fixtures just to give you a good example of what this looks like. Hit OK. Oh, it would help if we activated the view. Go down, light fixtures, uncheck it. OK, light fixtures are now gone. So we'll just undo that. So light fixtures back in the model, but we can easily change that. So what this also comes down to is if we want to not see hidden lines within something, there's all these different drop downs. Like if you don't want to see the center line in a cable tray, you can uncheck that. Center line, some of these pieces in conduits, if you don't want to see the center line and just the actual conduit. If you want to not see duct for mechanical equipment, unfortunately you've got to check a bunch of them, but that's pretty easy. Or let's say in the ceiling plan you want to see something like air terminals, because those are diffusers, but you want to just halftone them because you want them for reference. You can then click on halftone over here. So that's the visibility graphics menu. Again, pretty much anything, if you think of what it is, if it's some piece of mechanical equipment, be it an air handler or anything like that, it would be under mechanical equipment. Some things get a little tricky, and it might be a mass or generic model in some of the furniture systems. Also furniture systems, just some of those depend on how they were made. Floors, nurse call devices, pipe fittings and insulation. Usually you can turn most of the structural pieces off, and then walls, windows, wires, if you don't want to see those, you can turn those off. The other place to look is under annotation categories. So sometimes some of these get turned off. These are for where tags are, column lines, grids, levels. Which levels will show up in section, because those are, floor 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or however they're numbered. Those are levels. Grids are your actual column lines, left and right. So there's a whole long list of tags that will show up in your model. Analytical model categories, these usually don't appear all too often, so we rarely click on that tab. Imported categories, again, aren't too big. And then Revit links. So one benefit to Revit links, or one thing that you might have to go into for Revit links, is to turn on or off grids by going through this host view, go to custom, model categories, change this to custom, and then you can go to where it's actually annotation categories, and then go and turn off grids. So that's one thing that you would go through the Revit links for. The other piece that typically comes up, most of the time these links are already halftone because they're a link, but what doesn't happen always is that they're underlaid. So you want to make sure this is checked so that anything that you put in your model is always on top, rather than like a ceiling grid cutting it or something else. So if we just hit OK, as you can see, the grids went away, and now our light fixtures are on top of the grid lines versus the grid lines being on top of us. So if we undo this, our light fixtures are still there. Probably need one more undo. Yeah, now our grids are back. So that is how you go through visibility graphics. The other piece that you'll typically want to look at when you're activated in a view is to look at the view range. So the cut plane, depending on what you're on, whether you're in a ceiling plan or a floor plan, is which direction you're looking. So we're in a ceiling plan here, so our cut plane right now is at 7'6", and we're looking up to the floor above us, or the third floor. So we actually should be on the second floor and the second floor. And then our cut plane should be at 4 feet. The reason we want it at 4 feet is because we want to see light fixture or light switches, and we want to see doors. So we'll hit OK here. Now you can see doors showed up, and then anything that was at 4 feet, obviously we've got some receptacles turned on. So let's go back to our visibility graphics. Because this is a ceiling plan, we don't want to see receptacles. So we can turn off electrical fixtures. And now that receptacle is gone. But we're now able to, with this new cut plane of 4 feet, able to see the doors and still see our lights. Again, this is a ceiling plan, so we're cutting at 4 feet and then looking up. So that's key to remember. Sometimes if you can't see something, it's probably part of the view range that then needs to be adjusted in your model. So Visibility Graphics VV is how you get there, or VG, but Victor's typically the easiest way to get there. It's also under View, Visibility Graphics to get there. So this has been a quick lesson on Visibility Graphics.